Hello, fine gentlemen. Up for a puzzle, are we not? Because after all, no gentleman leaves a puzzle unsolved. And hello, we're going to talk about a game called Emily the Strange, or also Emily the Strange Strangerous. Strangerous. Now, first thing I would like to point out odd about this title is, while the game case and online when looking up this title does say Strangerous, or however you pronounce that part, the actual game when loaded and on the DS cart itself just says Emily the Strange, which is a little odd there and a little odd. I thought maybe the Strangerous was a part of maybe like EU or something, but that is on the American DS cover only, so I'm not sure what's up there. But anyway, Emily the Strange, we would just go with, is a puzzle game reminiscent of Professor Layton's type formula of gameplay. Now, I wanted to point out that this game came out in 2011, which is the same year the 3DS came out, which means that we were on our fourth Professor Layton game when this game came out. We either had it was going to be coming out, because it came out during the year of the 3DS, I'm pretty sure, and I would like to point out that the original Curious Village had 135 puzzles in the game, and that was the original, which I believe came out vaguely in 2009, maybe even. I can't really. No, maybe it was a little bit more. It's been a while, but so, I would like to point out this game has 64 puzzles. So that is definitely one thing I would like to immediately tell those of interested puzzles. I wouldn't really go near this game unless you have like all the Professor Layton games done and you're desperate there. But this game does try to do a few other elements in it. It feels like it's trying to throw in a little of point and click in it. The general story is Emily Strange has 4 cats, and they mysteriously get kidnapped. And as you rescue them, each one has a different power of interacting with the world. The first one gives hints, and the other ones actually can interact with the world a little differently. This aspect could have actually made the game a lot more interesting, but the downfall is that barely gets used. It does use a lot of similar elements to Professor Layton, with having cat treats used to give you hints. The only big difference where the hint coins in Professor Layton were limited towards what you could find, and even then were still limited. Cat treats, as far as I can see, are completely infinite. So you can always get more cat treats by going to an area of the carnival and play mini games. I would also like to point out, while we're on mini games, some of these puzzles I wouldn't really categorize as puzzles. Some of them are literally just little mini games, which really brings the puzzle count even shorter. I did a little research on this game because this is actually based on a franchise that started, I believe, around 2005. No, actually, I would like to correct that. 2001 was apparently the first thing of Emily Strange. She is part of a book, comic, and novel series that led into clothing line and that. So she is established character, and I would like to point out in the game that for new people not familiar with her, I do feel like the game does not really familiarize you with any of these people. You barely get to know Emily and her cats, let alone any of the other characters in this game. I don't even know if the other characters in the game even appear in any of her other media, or if they're just completely unique to the game. But the pacing and introductory and interaction with most of, like, seriously, some of these characters you literally just interact with once, and that's just about it. Like, they're so one-dimensional, and the pacing's awful for the story and the plot of it. You know, your cats are getting kidnapped, and you get to the point where you find out the whole point of what's going on, and it feels very badly paced. There's also a strange little aspect with your computer. You have a computer that you get oddities, a completely separate item that you can also gain at the carnival area. And you gotta do a password mini game and sometimes do a few things on your computer. You do this about 2 or 3 times throughout the entire game, really, unless you fail the puzzle multiple times. But some of there's ideas in here that don't get used a lot, and it's a real shame, because if they balanced a lot of these few different ideas, this actually could have been a more competent game. But on top of that, another problem I have, and I'm going to show that somewhere in the video when I get the footage for this, there is a Pacific puzzle I would like to show off, but there are a few multiple puzzles that have this issue of not recognizing what you're doing exactly. Like, the Pacific one I'm going to show in the video, and hopefully I'll actually show it over this point of dialogue, is there was one puzzle I think is a great example of this, where you have to find a star within a bunch of lines. I found it really fast. And I drew over it, and it failed. And failed, and failed, and failed, and failed, and failed, and failed. It failed so many times, I didn't even know, was I actually tracing the white star or something, or was there something I was missing? I actually had to go look it up and such, and I was tracing the white star, and apparently the problem was you have to draw it like near perfect, like really good, really freaking good. And some of the puzzles are really picky that way, and that really leaves you questioning whether you're doing the right thing. Another example is a rat maze, where you have to draw a line, but the maze, the space in between the maze is really small, and if you touch any of the walls, you have to draw the entire line all over again. And it's not a simplistic maze. It's all in giant loops and everything and that. And it really makes you appreciate how the Professor Layton games were designed and even improved on their own design with every single entry. I gotta say, I took how they designed a lot of the puzzles interface for granted. For granted, this game really made me realize a lot of the decisions on how they did the puzzles in Professor Layton were really done for interface reasons for the most part. Of that, well, I don't hate the game. It's just something I wouldn't really throw a lot of money at. It has an interesting art style, which is also a shame, too. It has a simple black and white aesthetic with random colors of red here and there. This isn't a mature title, so it's not going for like the blood everywhere kind of thing that some games usually use that kind of scheme with. But it's kind of a goth kind of weird thing, you could say. That's kind of how I take it. It's like Timmy's Force Goth animated character, you could say. But the music is very strange. Not very memorable, in my opinion. There's only a few tunes that are okay-ish, and the rest is just, it's pretty much forgettable, really. It does have a point system. It keeps track of your cats, and during the end plot point where you have to actually stop the villain, you have to go around all the areas you found and locate these devices to stop the villain's plan. I also would like what I was saying about how the pacing and how you introduce these characters feels really bad in this game, in my opinion. I like to explain like the beginning of the game here, which you should be watching some of that, because generally that's what I do when I do recording that. But you start off in your room locked, and then you get out of your room, go into the basement, and then you find a circus carnival is connected to your basement. And then you also find a parallel dimension connect to your room, your room's window. And she never really finds any of this shocking, which I'm assuming that's normal for her world and story and whole context of her universe. But as a person who's unfamiliar with all that, you're given no explanation about at all. Nothing at all. So you're completely left in the dark of what the fuck is going on with this game. It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. It's a tricky game because I feel like there's a lot of lost opportunity. This is one of those games that didn't work out right, but it felt like there was a lot of lost opportunity here. Like, this could have been an interesting mashup between Professor Layton's formula with some point-and-click elements and a completely different universe than that. And it just didn't really work out. There are a few clever puzzles. They're not all horrible, but there are also a few really iffy ones that are just really picky about how you go about the puzzle. There must have been a small handful of like 10-ish puzzles that I literally had to do over and over again. I have the answer, I know what the answer is, I know where it is, or what I'm trying to trace, circle, or interact with, or whatever in the particular puzzle, and it just doesn't want to acknowledge it until I get in the right, perfect way that wants me to do it, and it's very bothersome. Because I played this during my breaks at work, and unlike Professor Layton, this is another really big gripe here. I think one of the genius things about Professor Layton as a puzzle game is you have multiple options of what puzzles to do for a good portion of the game, aside from the 4 story puzzles, which usually are actually not super hard compared to a lot of the random puzzles you can find. Emily Strange, you basically have to do every single freaking puzzle aside from the carnival mini games. Aside from that, you have to do every single puzzle. There's no optional puzzles. The most open freedom you really get in this game is at the end, where you have to find these devices the villain has placed around all the environments you've explored up to this point. Because until you get to that point, you're just trying to look for your 4 cats, and you can't find them out of order. You'll find them each in order, going to new areas and that. And it's just incredibly linear until the very end now. And even then, it's pretty linear. You just have a few different ways you can go about it. And it's a real shame. I felt like there was something interesting here that just was lost potential. That I probably wouldn't pay more than $5, or maybe, like, if you're really bored, $10 if you want to be fair. But I think $5 is... You're only getting 64 puzzles, not counting any of the carnival puzzle things, which are really more mini games. It's a pretty short game when you know what you do, and I mean, like I said, this was in 2011. The first Professor Layton game had over 100 puzzles in it, and I'm not even sure if I want to go look up how many the 3DS one had, because that's what this one would be up against in 2011. It's a bit of a shame. And it also actually has a function with the DSi. There was apparently a unique puzzle, or puzzles. I can't access it because I don't have a DSi. I have a DS Lite, a Fat, and the 3DS. Which, I guess I could pop it into the 3DS to see what it does. But, there's some special content for the DSi there. It's not mandatory, obviously, but it's a little added functionality there, which is always a nice thing to have. At least some bonus stuff. We play on this game is just dead. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's absolutely no reason to really we play. There is a collectible thing of stickers, which you apparently have to do certain things like perfectly in that, and you don't get anything for it. So I mean, I honestly don't know why somebody would want to replay for that. This game also virtually has almost no one, like, that has, like, virtually no videos or reviews or anything on the interweb. You'll be hard pressed to find a lot of information on this game. I got it during a buy two get one free from GameStop, one of my big purchases of a bunch of loose DS games. It currently goes for $4.96 on GameStop, which is probably a good price for that. But some of the online stores want a little bit more, like on Amazon. If you want a full brand new copy, $26, it's totally not worth it. Totally not worth it. Basically, if you're completely out of puzzle games and you need something for the road for a few hours, I mean, Emily Strange can fulfill that role. But if you got Professor Layton games and such, this should be a pretty low priority thing on your list. There should be plenty of puzzle games also out there that are far more interesting. Which is a shame, because like I said, it feels like there's a lot of lost inspiration here for a different setting, and very imaginative too. Because I mean, like I said at the beginning, you find a freaking circus in your basement, and that's probably one of the most normal things that probably happen in the game. It is strange. Strange is in the title for a good reason, because a lot of really strange stuff does happen, which just makes it a real lost opportunity. And also, die-hard Professor Layton fans will see a few puzzles that are either reminiscent or straight out, not necessarily copying Professor Layton, because, I mean, Professor Layton's, many of the puzzles Professor Layton uses, especially in the early games, were actually basically copied from famous puzzle books, or famous puzzles themselves were known for a long time, so, not necessarily copied from Professor Layton, but all well-known puzzles that Layton has also used to that. But not all of them. There are a few, though, that are very reminiscent of a few of that. But overall, if you find it for cheap, like I said, if you're bored and you really, really need something, Emily Strange can fulfill that role if you're really desperate for some puzzles. But it's not. Don't look into finding the perfect thing here. If you like the art style in that, I would check it out. I mean, it actually does have some decent art to modeling and all that with the characters and that. I just really wish I knew who the fuck any of these characters were. I mean, literally, we barely get to know anything about Emily or her freaking cats, really, let alone all the freaking different... Like, literally, you go to, like, a twisted school place, and there's this weird demon teacher thing you interact with, like, twice, and then it falls off the face of the fucking planet, never to be seen again. And it's like, who was that? What the fuck was that? Nothing is explained here. Either if these characters exist in the books and such, this game is literally expecting you to know all this. And like I said, I don't even know if they are. If they aren't, then it's even worse, because it doesn't even give them development in the game itself if they only appear in the game. So, if you happen to know Emily Strange, if you actually read the books or that, I would love to know if any of the other characters besides her and her cats are in the books or any other form of media related to her. But this is a tough recommendation. This is a tough one. Like I said, if you don't find it cheap, it's hard to really recommend it, because there are a lot of puzzles games. Tons of fucking different kinds of puzzle games, from things like Professor Layton to just maze puzzles and stuff that was reminiscent of, like, Portal kind of like things. I mean, there's endless puzzle games. It's definitely not it's definitely not that hard to find one. So, like I said, you have to be really desperate, in my opinion. But if you see it cheap and you like what you see so far, check it out, I'd say. But I would not. I definitely wouldn't go over $10. Just no, it's not worth. That's like maybe like a full copy with its case and booklet and all that. But I would stick around $5 myself. But that's pretty much all I have to really say about Emily the Strange, to be honest, without going into too much rambling. The point-click stuff, I feel like it just... They could have done so much more. There's very little puzzle solving with using items in the world and the cats. They're very, very littly used. Very little. And that's a real shame. But if you have any questions about Emily the Strangeness, or however you pronounce that last part, please leave a comment down below and I will get with you. If you learned anything in this video, please leave a like, and if you feel like I didn't do a decent job telling you anything interesting in this video, please feel free to leave a dislike. Until next time, I'll see you somewhere in the proving grounds.
どうだった？私の作った